Hey guys, Mark here at the Wildlife Center at Refreshing Mountain. It's a beautiful day out, so we're going to do our video outside today. Hope everyone's doing well at home. We're going to be talking all about northern copperheads today. Now, copperheads are one of only 3 venomous snake species found in Pennsylvania. That's right, only 3 out of over 20 species. So those 3 are the timber rattlesnake, very easy to identify. It has a rattle on its tail, and they grow to be a pretty large, stocky rattlesnake species. The northern copperhead, which we're going to talk about, and the third is actually a small endangered rattlesnake called the eastern Massasauga. They're only found over in the western part of the state, and even if you live over in the western part of Pennsylvania, you're probably not going to see one because of how rare they are. So there's really only 2 that you need to worry about. That's the northern copperhead and the timber rattlesnake. The copperhead is the one that people seem to have a lot of trouble identifying. So I hope that this video will be helpful for you to help kind of know what you're looking at when you see a snake that might look like a copperhead, or if you actually see a copperhead out in the woods this spring, summer, and fall. So first we're going to show the harmless mimics, then we'll get into the copperhead. Before I do that, I just want to touch briefly on venomous snake bite. A lot of people are concerned that all snakes are dangerous and they could bite you and harm you. That's not true, but venomous snake bites could do some pretty severe damage. So anytime you're out in the wilderness, there are a lot of things to be careful for. Venomous snake bites are one of them. If you ever find yourself in the situation where you do get bit by a venomous snake, and by the way, most venomous snake bites in the US are from intentional interactions by either picking them up or trying to kill them. If it's an accidental bite, which can happen, but it's pretty rare in the US, where you step on them or put your hand behind a rock and didn't see it, in any case, you need to get straight to the hospital. Don't start sucking the venom out or do a tourniquet, anything like that. A lot of those old ways of treating snake bite don't work, and they could actually make the bite worse or the wound worse. So get straight to the hospital. Copperheads are not nearly as toxic as something like a timber rattlesnake, but it's still a serious medical emergency. So get to the hospital. You may or may not need anti-venom to treat that bite from a copperhead, but you need to get that medical assistance from a hospital. So that's some advice as to what to do in a snake bite if that were to happen. Okay, go straight to the hospital. First, we're going to do the harmless species. Eastern milk snake is the first one here. Beautiful little snakes. They have that checkerboard pattern on their belly. The pattern of these look more like a copperhead than a water snake would. They've got that brown coppery color. When they're babies, those blotches are actually a reddish maroon color. First thing that you'll notice, milk snakes have a very tiny head. Let me see if I can get a better look here for you. You can see that head is very tiny. Copperheads have kind of that more triangular shaped head that people talk about, or a broader shaped head. These guys are really tiny. They're also a thinner snake. Copperheads are a stocky snake. They're a pit viper. And these blotches, the banding, are much closer together and smaller blotches than a copperhead. You'll see in a moment, copperheads have really wide banding along their back, okay? Now, another thing that people use to tell the difference between venomous and non-venomous snakes are the eyes. They say if it's a round pupil, it's harmless, non-venomous. If it's got that vertical or cat-eyed pupil, it's venomous. Although that is true of pit vipers, it's not a universal thing to use worldwide, because it's not true of all venomous snakes worldwide. The most important thing is, if you don't know whether it's venomous or not, you probably shouldn't be close enough to the head to see whether those pupils are round or vertical. So number one rule in nature, of course, if you don't know 100% what it is, just leave it alone. That's the best thing to do and the best way to avoid getting bit by any snake. Okay, so that's our eastern milk snake. Very placid species of snake, even out in the wild. If you know what it is and you pick it up, probably not gonna bite. We don't recommend you do that, but very placid snake naturally, okay? The next one, not so much. This is the northern water snake. See, hopefully she doesn't bite. Beautiful snakes. Now this one's a little more relaxed because she's been in our collection for almost 2 years now. But they're naturally a more defensive species of snake. All snakes can bite, of course, but we always tell people some are naturally more likely to bite, more grumpy, and some are not. Water snakes are one that are. So if you know what a water snake looks like and you go to pick one up in the woods or by a creek, you're probably gonna get bit by one. So we don't recommend you do that. This one, like I said, it's been with us for a while, so she's pretty good. The body of a water snake looks more like a copperhead than the milk snake. Okay, they got a stockier body, and they tend to flatten their head out to make it look triangular if they feel threatened. Right now, she's not gonna do that, but you can almost see if I put my finger there, it gets that diamond triangular shape. So body looks more like a copperhead. Banding and pattern don't. They do have banding. They actually have a really beautiful belly pattern that you can see there. And they kind of are a little more defensive, so they can be a scarier looking snake. The most important thing though is not about copperheads with these guys. The most important thing to remember is that we don't have cottonmouths or water moccasins, another venomous pit viper, in the Northeast at all, including Pennsylvania, of course. So if you see a snake swimming in a pond or a creek, which copperheads can do, but it's not super common, it's most likely going to be a northern water snake, a harmless snake, grumpy but harmless. All right, so that's our northern water snake. Body looks a little more like it, but pattern does not look as much like a copperhead. Now we'll show the actual species. Just grab my snake hook here. The actual northern copperhead. So you guys can see what this snake looks like. All right, there we go. So this is actually what a northern copperhead looks like. First thing I'll point out, you can see that banding like we talked about. It's got those broad bands. Some naturalists and reptile experts say that the dark banding looks kind of like a Hershey kiss, which is easy to remember. Everybody knows what that looks like around here. And they also have those much broader bands like we talked about, dark and light. So comparing this to the other two snakes, you can clearly see that difference. The head is broader and more triangular shaped. And you know, it is oftentimes a little more of that coppery colored too. That's where they get their name. Very camouflaged snake, but when you're out in the woods, you know, I actually go out looking for copperheads from time to time. They're very hard to find because of that. And they're usually not out on a trail. They're usually hiding under rocks or leaf litter and things like that. So if you do encounter them, it's not oftentimes on the trail right in front of you. It can be, but they're usually hiding. All right. So really pretty snakes. I think they're one of the prettiest snakes that we have in Pennsylvania. And you can see she's not trying to bite or attack me right now either. They're actually naturally pretty placid. Demand a lot of respect, but they don't demand fear. They're two different things. So respect these guys. If you see them out in the wild, they're not gonna come after you. If you walk way out around them, you'll be safe and sound. So that's what the copperhead really looks like. So I'm gonna put that one back. All right, guys, hopefully this helps you to be able to see those three examples right next to each other, back to back, to help you identify these snakes out in the wild. Again, if you don't know what it is 100%, just leave it alone. But if this video is not enough, the best thing that I could recommend you do, get a great reptile or snake field guide of the US, different species of snakes, or look up pictures of copperheads online and make sure you can see exactly what a copperhead looks like. Because if you know exactly what a copperhead looks like, then anything that's not that exact snake, you know you don't have to worry about. Thanks guys, I hope you have a great day, take care, and we'll see you next week.